Hi everyone, it's Eli. You know how sometimes you stumble upon something truly game-changing in healthcare? Well, I found it. KinetiSense. This cutting-edge motion capture technology is transforming movement, assessment, and recovery. Imagine getting instant AI-driven insights without any wearables on your patient. That's right, no ping pong balls needed. Just pure, accurate data. Perfect for boosting athletic performance, pinpointing imbalances, and refining rehab. Top professionals worldwide trust KinetiSense to maximize productivity and results. Check out our partner page to learn more. Experience the revolution in movement. Welcome to Wrap It Up Sports Medicine and More, the podcast that gives you a viewpoint in sports medicine that can't be found anywhere else. I'm your host, Eli Halleck, and we have a fantastic show ahead of us today. So, let's get started.
Welcome to Wrap It Up Sports Medicine and More. Today, we have two fantastic guests with very unique perspective in the field of sports medicine athletic training. Ed Strapp and Daryl Conway. How you guys doing today?
Doing well.
Very good. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for coming back on. Excited to have you here and talk about what you do, how you do it, where you do it, and your company, SMEM, which we'll let you guys say it and talk about it. And it's amazing. I love it. So if you don't mind, let's start with Ed. Why don't you give us your background and how you got there, buddy?
Hi, great to be here. My name's Ed Strapp. I'm a certified athletic trainer. I'm also a trooper and a flight paramedic with the Maryland State Police. So I've had a pretty interesting route through my career. Started out, did my undergrad and grad school in athletic training, worked at a couple of different high schools and colleges around the country. Finally realized that acute care was more of my priority and more of my love than rehabs and things like that. And I wanted to be out on the sidelines covering games, and slowly shifted into EMS full time. Once I did that, I started with the Maryland State Police. I fly in our aviation command as a flight paramedic. Stay involved in athletic training through a couple of different national teams, like USA Ski and Snowboard and USA Bobsled, and going to start doing some work with Masters Field Hockey, all kinds of fun stuff. And met Daryl a number of years ago at the Baltimore Convention. And we had very similar teaching philosophies and methodologies and desires to make people stronger as emergency care providers. So we started Sports Medicine Emergency Management, and here we are today.
That's a really short synopsis. I love it because we've done that before and I know what you've done. So that's the Cliff Notes of the Cliff Notes.
All right.
But well stated, well stated. And Daryl, if you can hop in there and give everybody a little snippet on what you've done throughout your career and where you're at now.
Yeah, so Daryl Conway, certified athletic trainer, also spent 13 years as an EMT and 7 years as a tactical EMT, working with various different SWAT teams in the Washington, D.C. area. Presently, I am the Executive Senior Associate Athletic Director and Chief Health and Welfare Officer for the University of Michigan Athletics, where I oversee athletic training, strength and conditioning, performance nutrition, equipment operations, performance science, and our performance psychology and wellness services, or our mental health services. Spent predominantly the majority of my career in professional sports and high-level Division I sports through various different colleges throughout my career. My passion for emergency care and emergency action planning really started in college, and really went immediately once I started my full-time career from emergency action planning and cervical spine injury management, equipment laden athlete management standpoint. Like Ed said, we met at the Baltimore Convention, I think 2012. We have very similar teaching philosophies and just overall philosophies on the care and preparation around sports and started teaching together at various different conferences. And that was really the birth of sports medicine emergency management.
I love it. It's so funny how small our field is and how quickly we interact with somebody and just click. So I've got to ask. I know one of you said, and you have it in the background, that you do a bit with the ski. Have you ever come across good colleague of mine and friend, Ellen Payne?
I know Ellen well.
Do you now?
Yep, yep.
Uh,
I do know Ellen well, and we've worked together. We've taught together. We've had some fun together. So we were actually all just up at EATA doing some emergency care training with the student program with Ellen.
so funny how small our profession is. Everybody knows somebody. Kind of funny. Well, shout out to Ellen. Love you, gal. Hope everything's good at your university. And think her episode just about to post, if I remember correctly. So we met with her a couple of weeks ago. So emergency action plans, probably one of the most important things an athletic trainer and management can do. In hindsight, looking way, 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 way back, I actually stumbled across it through Georgia University. I was Googling some stuff back when Google was Yahoo and read it and went, huh, emergency action plan? What's that? Started looking at it and realized, wow, that's really comprehensive. So I admit it, I copied, I pasted, and then I tweaked it. And all of a sudden, my management looked at me and went, wow, Eli, good job. Yeah, well, thanks, Georgia. But back then, we didn't really have an idea how important it was. But apparently, you did. Can you tell me why you've really started pushing emergency action plans and preparation and the whole 9 yards?
Go ahead, Ed.
When we think about, probably where a lot of us started in the field, it was very much, stabilize them on the field and call for help. And that was the level that a lot of us worked at. And when we started to realize that our training, our knowledge, our experience led to our ability to do a lot of critical thinking and a lot of critical interventions in the face of emergency, far more than just stabilize them and wait for the EMTs to arrive, we really started to see that. Thankfully, NATA, BOC, Katie, all of the partners kind of realized that this is where we need it to get to. So we've seen that transition to more emergency care, and we're there. We're on the sidelines. We're the first ones. I mean, we are beyond the first responders. We're the initial responders, because very rarely is EMS or physicians or anybody else at the point of impact when it happens. And so it really allowed us to be strong initial responders. And with that, we have to have a plan in place. So we started to see more and more things like emergency action plans happening. And, Daryl and I realized that these are skills that you may use once in a career, but you have to be just as effective and efficient at them when that moment hits as somebody that does this all day, every day, in their world. So really was a fun time. And we've seen the progression in athletic training take that stride and really move forward with it.
I love your comment. We are not just first responders, we are the initial responders. And that's so true because we're there on the field. First responders, really, they come in after the fact. So, Daryl, you were going to jump in.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it just started from some practical examples and practical emergencies, and realizing that we have to have a plan, and we have to be ready to implement that plan. And that involves more than just the athletic trainers or the physicians on the field, and that everybody has to be dialed in to that plan and know what it is. No different than anywhere else in our society, no different than police, fire, EMS. They have a plan, and that plan revolves around multiple people um, to execute that plan. So that's where my framework of kind of strategic readiness and building response systems came from.
Just jotting that down. I like that. Strategic readiness. That's a good one. That's really good. I like that. Little pearls of wisdom out here. I love you. Throw them my way, please. Make me sound so much smarter. Over the years, obviously, as clinicians, you've been involved in multiple events, some that spurred the idea of sports medicine emergency management. Is there one point in which you looked and went, we got to turn this into educational opportunity for colleagues?
I mean, I think we were always, through our presentations at various different meetings, we were always all about the education and all about really teaching people to refine their skills and teaching people to think outside the box and really be ready for anything that can happen. One of my famous quotes is, if it's predictable, it's manageable, and really getting people to think about all of the predictable situations and what would happen. As athletic trainers, a lot of times we're vultures on a perch. We sit out at practice and we're that vulture just waiting for that roadkill to come across the road, and then we're going to fly down and seize it at that time. But as we're standing there watching the practice and we see somebody narrowly collide or almost collide or something happen, we need to have a mindset of, okay, if that would have happened, if they would have collided and both of them are unconscious, how would I have managed it in this moment? Maybe my colleague went inside to go to the bathroom. Now it's just me. How would I have managed it? What am I going to do when they come back out? Who's on my pit crew? What coach? What athletic, administrator, student athlete, video person can I use to help manage that situation and triage that situation? So I think that's where, when Ed and I said we have similar teaching philosophies, almost right from the beginning, it was that if it's predictable, it's a manageable situation, and how are you going to do it? And then really diving into the skills and making sure, we call it a walk, jog, run, or a piece to whole, making sure that we have very good skills that are transferable and that we can do it under stress.
Ed, want to jump on in?
Yeah, I mean, I think, when Daryl and I were traveling around the country, bringing these programs to district and state meetings, we got tired of simulating a football field in a conference room and creating a hill on out of a table or something like that. And we knew that, real life is not temperature and time controlled on a grass surface, and this training needed to be, in your hands at your facility, or something similar to it. So that really spurred us to start to take this out to others and train with them. The conversation that always comes up is, how do I get EMS involved? How do I get them to buy in with what I'm doing? And so we said, well, call them over and bring them to the training. So then people got to realize that, hey, if I can bring this to my house, to my neighborhood, to my community, to my school, whatever that case may be, then we can train with our own people, with our own equipment in our own world. And we've seen some places that will have coaches and administrators be part of the team and train with us. And then we see others that have all their athletic training staff, their team physicians, and local EMS all come in. And then we found that the professional sports all had or have developed requirements to have training like this. And that's just helped us to expand and again, work in their world, in their place.
Yeah, in our state, California, we actually implemented this past year a mandatory practice once a year with every season / every sport and every athletic site, so to speak. So the gym, the football field, cross country event venue, baseball stadium, all of it. It's been a bit of a challenge, but it helps definitely the coaches understand what's going on, what they may have to do, because a lot of times at the high school level, it's just us and them. Very few are fortunate enough, except on a Friday night football game, to have anything more than an athletic trainer on staff. So being prepared is a good thing.
And I would say, we're more than just training. Our philosophy is practice, train, and rehearse. And there's a getting people to understand that there's a big difference between practicing something and rehearsing the entirety of the situation. So that's how we build courses. That's how we talk about practice, train, and rehearse, and take the practice of, I'm going to practice my bag valve mask techniques. I'm going to practice an airway. I'm going to practice CPR, to training it. And you're putting maybe an airway with a bag valve mask, to all the way to rehearsing somebody that is not breathing, where I'm going to utilize my bag valve mask skills, I'm going to utilize my airway skills, but I'm also going to utilize my initial evaluation. I'm also going to actually rehearse my emergency action plan of how am I getting EMS to the site? Am I sending somebody? Am I unlocking doors? Does the stretcher fit through the door? Does the stretcher fit in the elevator? And how am I doing that over a 10 to 12-minute actual simulation rehearsal of your emergency action plan? And you're not stopping during that rehearsal. So if your scissors fall out on the way out, or you didn't pack your bag valve mask back in the kit, you still have to go. There are no timeouts during that rehearsal versus a practice or training. We can actually pause it, stop, okay, go get your scissors, so that we can really practice until we can't get something wrong, and then rehearse it until we can't get something wrong.
Nothing like losing your scissors in the middle of the field. What was it, last year before, NFL? One of them found those silver super scissors on the field and walked him off. I'm like, ooh, I'd hate to be that athletic trainer. He's going to get hell, or she, later tonight. Oh boy, I wouldn't claim him at all. No doubt about it. So, some of the scenarios that you prep, practice, train, rehearse, what are some of the more unique situations that you'll throw some of your students in to prep them for, well, the out of the ordinary?
Well, first off, and we are big believers in using video. And so we will not give you a scenario that we don't generally have video for, because we don't want you to say, well, that could never happen. So we have a catalog, almost 600 different videos that we can use, and to show really any situation from pretty much any sport at any site on the field. But you can imagine some of the crazy videos of a wide receiver running through the end zone, colliding with a band cart in the back of the end zone, winding up upside down on the hill with a cervical spine injury and a tib fib, or two tib fib fractures. Well, we have the video showing that.
Oh my.
So really any kind of scenario that you can think of, Ed, myself, our instructors have devious minds. So if, we walk into, we call it Jenna's playground. She'll walk in and she'll see, oh, an alter G. What would happen if somebody went unconscious in the alter G? How quickly could you get them out? Have you thought about getting them out? How are you going to get an
Ooh,
unconscious person out of an alter G? Or
love that.
on a piece of cardio equipment, somebody goes unconscious on a piece of cardio or treadmill and falls down, so they're in between two treadmills. And so really anything that you can think about, we will try hard to find a video that matches it, and then really try to make realistic scenarios that you could have to deal with, that not only test your skill, but also test your teamwork, test your communication, and test your critical thinking skills. Because in most of those scenarios, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just about how you communicate as a team, how you critically think as a team, and how you work as a team.
And that's so true in so many ways. There is no one correct answer. There's so many correct answers. As a preceptor to my college interns from both Cal State Northridge and University of Laverne, there are multiple ways to treat the individual. As long as you treat them and you care for them, that's all that matters. Get the job done. So you've been doing sports medicine emergency management for a while now. I mean, the website's awesome. What you do, the offerings you have, and I'll be talking to California Athletic Trainers Association maybe about having you guys back out, because Daryl, you were out here, I think a year ago when we met. Would love to have you come out at some point, both of you, and do an event out here. So I'll be
We'd
working
love
on
to
that.
come, preferably in the wintertime when it's snowing and 20 degrees here in
Well,
Michigan.
we're dying over here. We're freezing at 65 today. Yesterday
Yeah.
was 75 and sunny. We were frigid. I was in sweatshirts and a jacket. Yeah, it was horrible. So we'll work on that for you. But I love how you say practice, train, rehearse, communicate, because all too often that makes a difference in care. Wouldn't you agree, Ed?
Absolutely. It's a team, and it's a team approach. We all play different roles in that team. We all play different roles at different times, and to put that team together, and so often with emergency care training, we lay somebody down on the floor and say, all right, this is a suspected spinal cord injury. 9 of us are standing there. The spine board's right here. And, we practice that once. We do a minute or two of CPR and say, yeah, your compressions look good. But we don't get that feel for what 7 to 10 minutes really feels like. And we don't get that thought of, what happens when it's in an awkward position on a bus, on a plane, on a, in a classroom, in a meeting room. So we really try to take this team approach, give you the critical thinking skills to face any number of situations that you may face later. There are people who are like, "Oh, it's too hard. They're too challenging. They're too critical." And I'm like, very often, no. I mean, we're not going to make you feel bad. We're going to make you feel stronger at the end. We're going to build you up. We're going to, really make the way you're thinking be that much more productive and efficient and effective. And some people are dialed in and they've got it. And some people need to grow and develop more as providers. And it just makes it a lot of fun to be able to work and sort of see the light come on, that aha moment of, oh, this now all makes sense. And this is why, and this is how, and, makes for a lot of fun for us.
I got to admit it. It's one of my favorites. Emergency med is probably one of my favorite scenarios. We had I'll never forget it. We had driven 4 hours after losing a horrible game in football, and one of the kids was partially still asleep, and as he got off the bus, slipped and fell on the curb, cracked his leg open and his head.
Oh,
And this is at 2 o'clock in the morning.
yep.
And all I hear is the team's coming in and, okay, get ready, clean them up. What do you mean? Someone's wet? I looked at my intern. Let's go. Well,
Yep.
what do we do? Don't know until we get there. Let's go. grab all the equipment you can carry, and we'll see when we get there. He ended up pretty good lack on his shin. I think his leg had a what's it called, a buckle fracture when they indent,
Yep.
and then obviously concussion because it was down to the bone on his head.
Oof.
So he took a few sutures, or I think he ended up with 8 or 9 staples that night.
Staples.
Yeah,
he
mom
a
was so
staple as
happy
well.
about that after driving 4 hours home. But you never know.
Absolutely.
I think one of the hardest things for me as a clinician is stepping back and letting others take over. I'm a control freak. I'm the first one to admit it. I'm sure many of us in the profession are. We want to help. But I've slowly realized over the years, especially the last this past year, I need to step back and let others get their experience as well. So stuff like this is awesome, absolutely awesome, because it's going to give everybody a chance to become a better clinician and care for your patients.
Yeah, our goal is that our training's your worst day in all of athletic training. You'll see stuff that you haven't thought about. You'll see stuff that you haven't really prepared for. You'll see challenges that you're not used to, so that then when they come in real life, you've already seen it. Daryl loves to say that the day it happens to you should be the second time you've seen it. And,
I like that. That's good.
We try to make sure that the first time is with us in a controlled, positive environment. And then the second time, or the first time you see it in real life is really the second time you've seen it. So it really works out well.
I love on your website the educational philosophy: crawl, walk, jog, run, sprint. And on the run sprint, you got people in, is it Trendelenburg? It's hard to say, on the stairs. Love it.
Oh, yeah.
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 Never would have thought of that. Now, I've been on the stairs taking care of people, but never
Yep.
would have thought of training for it.
Yep. Yeah, we know our athletes, a lot of our athletic trainers are very prepared for moments that happen, on the court, on the sidelines, in the confines of the field. But there's another 20 hours during most days that we are near our athletes, with our athletes, or on the facility while they're doing their own thing. And there's no shortage of stupid out there, and stuff happens, and people get hurt, and we have to take care of them. And like you said, I'm not used to a bus at 2 a.m. and probably don't have a headlamp in my kit, but you may after that experience. And we try to bring those other moments to you.
Exactly.
Elevate your knowledge, ignite your curiosity, and compete with the best minds at events hosted by the American Academic Competition Institute. AACI's sports medicine competitions feature practical exercises, challenging quizzes, specialty tests, and keynote speakers that foster knowledge and social engagement in healthcare and sports medicine. Go to aacitest.org for more information on upcoming regional and national competitions. Sign up for the Ultimate Intellectual Showdown.
I got one I love, and I love to tell because it happened my first year as a head athletic trainer at St. Francis High School. And like you said, stupid just happens sometimes. We had a young freshman who had a friend that was massive compared to him. I mean, he was probably 5'4". His buddy was 6'2", 220. You know, lineman. He ended up playing somewhere, Division One. But as they were in the PE class, he thought, oh, it'd be funny to take a rat tail towel and snap his buddy right in the butt. And needless to say, he didn't think it all the way through. So next thing you know, his buddy, all 6'2", 220 of them, starts chasing him in the locker room. There's nowhere to go. All he's doing is he's like a mouse running around in circles. Finally, he slips and falls and goes head first into kind of like a locker situation and splits his head open about 9 inches all the way to skull.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, my principal, and this is my first year where I'm working. I just started teaching. My principal comes in, Mr. Halleck, can I use you for a minute? Yes, sir. What's going on? We have a situation in PE. Would love you to take care of it. Yeah, okay, sure, no problem. And I get there, I'm like, ooh, okay. What are we going to do? We're just going to stabilize. He obviously needs staples, and we're going to get him to the hospital. But the whole time he's screaming, can you see my skull? Can you see my skull? And I looked him dead in the eye and said, nope. I lied like a champ. When I tell this story to my students, they all ask, well, why'd you lie? I said, because he was already panicked. He was already kind of shocky. Didn't want him to go overboard. So we patched him up, got him in a car, and got him to the hospital. Later, he was pretty mad at me for lying, but it's okay. It took care of him, and that's the important thing.
That's the goal.
That's the goal. Just take care of the patient, always, always. Now, I also love that you guys have standardized programs, which is just awesome. Can you talk a little bit about those programs for athletic trainers?
The joy of our programs is as standard as they look on paper, we're 100% customizable. So we're going to bring a program to you that's going to fit your needs, that's going to be appropriate for your environment, for your settings. If we work with a Major League Soccer team, we're not going to bring a football or a baseball scenario. If we work with, any of the other teams, we're not going to bring different sports that they don't have. High schools, college programs, those are great programs where we can bring everything from ice hockey to football to lacrosse to cheerleading and dance and gymnastics and everything else. So we really want to get a feel for what you think is the need in your area and your community and try to highlight those needs. If you've had a particular event that may not have gone well, let's challenge that. Let's train that. Let's look at that again. Let's reevaluate, reassess, or maybe you've updated a policy and a procedure and we want to try to, build those pieces. So as much as we have something written down for a standardized program, we want it to be customized. We want it to address the needs of your staff, utilizing the equipment that you have. If you don't have a piece of equipment, we're not going to spend a lot of time training on something that you would never have. Likewise, in our scenarios, is we're going to put you in the world that you live in. If you're a solo athletic trainer, you're going to respond solo. Even if there's 5 other people in your group, they may be a coach, a teacher, or somebody else that can help you. But how do you utilize the team that you have around you? So all of that is just, really fun because we get to meet and discuss with our groups, our clients per se, that, what are you looking to get out? What are you hoping to challenge the staff with or the area with? Put them through a training that is valuable to their specific needs.
And just to give everybody an idea, you really do run the gauntlet. I mean, I'm looking at your calendar. This past weekend, you were at the Baltimore Orioles and Minnesota Twins. You were at the Eastern Athletic Trainers Association. This upcoming weekend on Friday, you're at Arizona Athletic Trainers Association. Last month, Professional Baseball Athletic Society, PBATS, and then Mets. So yeah, you're getting everybody squared away before season starts.
Yeah, we're definitely in baseball right now. We'll switch to football a little bit more, in the late summer or early summer before they go to camp. We do NBA in the fall, again before they go to camp, but then we'll mix in high schools, colleges, PT clinics. We've got college training programs, so UCF's physical therapy programs bringing us in. Other schools will bring us in for their students. And then schools and colleges will also bring us in to train their whole medical staff. and kind of update them. We've done probably half the Big Ten and a number of ACC, number of Ivy League schools, and been all over, everything from big time Division I to 2 or 3 small Division III schools that all met up together and put this in place for their staff. You're
That's
muted.
fantastic. And I'm pretty sure you've probably been utilized at the wonderful U of M once or twice.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. We do training with each one of our sports, does a sport specific one where we'll go out to their venue and train with them at their sport with their scenarios and their equipment and their personnel.
I just had a former student who is more of a family friend than a student graduate from UM and become an AT, and she's out there in Michigan now. Stephanie Probert. She was working with, I believe, cheerleading for a while, tennis for a while, volleyball for a while, and she just loved the program. I know that.
Yes.
Absolutely loved it. So you're thinking about a mass casualty event. You're trying to give some people a little something to think about because let's face it, you never know what the hell's going to happen nowadays. I mean, it is just a cluster out there. You don't know if it's a shooter, you don't know if it's a knife, you don't know what's going on. I had one a few years ago who somebody just came and said, "We got a bleeder in the bathroom." Like, okay, do we know anything more than that? No. Okay, well, let's go in and make sure it's safe first. What kind of scenarios that are just out there have you thrown at some of these educational opportunities that just when everybody sat there going, "Wow, never thought of that one."
I mean, I think our favorite one that we do at a lot of conferences is a bus crash. And think of you're coming home on a dark road after a game at nighttime and something happens in the bus and you're the initial responder, you're the initial incident commander. And how are you going to manage all of the individuals on the bus? Where is your equipment? Do you keep a go bag on top of the bus or is all your equipment underneath the bus? So I think we have the ability again in the videos to do a lot of different things from a bus crash to a tornado to a multi lightning strike to car through a crowd. You're outside the stadium afterwards and the car goes through a crowd. How do you manage that as the initial responder to that incident? But again, we're creative and the ideas are unlimited of what we can do.
We actually had that one happen 3 years ago. A cardiac issue on a person driving down the hill right in front of our field. She lost control, went up on the sidewalk, and literally missed about 15 of our kids walking to practice. And two of them got hit. One of them, by the grace of God, got dragged under and pulled out. Still don't understand that one. And then one young man ended up getting kind of hit on the side and spun out of the way. And it should have been just bad. But obviously, God was down there going, "Not today, guys. Come on. Let's get you out of the way." She had a heart attack or epilepsy or something. I'm not 100% sure. But all I heard is two of our kids have been hit by a car. And it's 100 yards. Never moved so fast, not knowing what to expect. It happens. Got to be prepared. With that, something that we haven't thought about for a long time, and just over the last few years, it's really kind of come to the forefront. Emotional toll of these kind of situations on an athletic trainer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no.
Go ahead, Ed.
We're both waiting for each other.
Love it, love it.
Yeah, there's no doubt. The NATA's done a nice job with the AT's care program and kind of building that up. But we do look at that emotional toll. We try to tie that into scenarios. We try to tie that into conversations and look at those pieces that we can put into place. We've also gone to facilities that have had an unfortunate outcome. Even if everything went perfectly, it was still a non-survivable injury. So we look at it twofold as just having discussions and getting the emotions out about what things will be like after an event like this. We may be the only ones that are expected to go back to work because there was a critical event at football practice, but soccer and everybody else is still practicing. So, how do you table that to the back shelf and keep going, and hopefully
hard to put a pin in it.
absolutely. So hopefully your administration and others realize that and think about those things, and go from there. We talk about supporting each other and reaching out to each other and talking to them, and the resources that are available to you locally, because we know that, not everybody responds the same way, not everybody's impacted the same way, and it's a challenge to try to train that, but at least if we can get that in your mind and get you understanding that. And thankfully, a number of our scenarios will oftentimes trigger a little bit of emotion in folks. They feel like they messed up. They feel like they didn't do the right things in their scenario, and they wear it hard. And we remind them it's training, and that's when they're supposed to make mistakes. But that lets us build on that conversation, as to what the next day, week, month, year might be like for them.
Daryl, jump on in, man.
Yeah, I think Ed capsulizes the best of every time you can do everything right, but you're going to have unfortunate outcome, and this relying on AT's care and really relying on interdisciplinary the professionals who do this every day. Fire, EMS, police have very established critical incident stress management teams, and really again building your relationships, building your community. That's part of building your team, of reaching out to those individuals to for them to help you during this period of time.
Yeah, when I look back, I've been in the field for a few years here and there, and I know you guys have been in for a minute. Back in the day, we didn't think about it. We just did what we did, and something happened. You just got back out there because it was the expectation, and you just kind of wore it. And you could always tell when somebody was wearing it. That's when your friends would call, help out, try and talk, see what's going on. You just go, yeah, no, I'm fine. The AT Cares program, for those of you who don't know, is a fantastic way to get a little help. He reached out to me on accident one time. They thought I was emailing saying I had a problem, and they called me. I said, no, 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 no. I have a colleague that had an issue that I really think needs to talk. So they were on it within 24 hours, which I thought was fantastic, because we got to really watch out for each other. Otherwise, we wear it for too long. With this in mind, we got a lot of stuff going on in our field. It's constantly evolving. It went from bachelor's to master's to people are pushing doctorates now. And they're thinking, well, should it be a doctorate? Let's not do that, because let's look at what happened to the PTs when they pushed doctorate. What is some of the evolution that you're seeing of care recently or as you project to the future? What do you think we're going to be doing?
Go ahead, Ed.
I think, we're going to see care continue to evolve in a lot of different ways. We're seeing the much more holistic approach to, rehab, recovery, and return to play, and not just physically is the knee or the shoulder capable of doing it, but is the athlete ready to get back in the game as well. We're seeing, the advent of data and supporting our decisions for activity, for breaks, for return to play, nutrition, sleep, and all of those pieces, again, to that whole athlete. The side that we see that continues to improve is the emergency care side. And that's what's, we're enjoying that approach, that mentality to, we need to be better at the emergency. And we always profess that these are the times that you can't look it up in the book. I can write a rehab program. I can utilize resources when it's not time sensitive, but in these emergency care situations, you have to be a proficient and effective. I always say is don't practice till you get it right. Practice until you can't get it wrong, because we need to do these things enough times that at 2 a.m. after a bus trip, like you described earlier, or 2 p.m. But, what are you going to do at the end of the fourth quarter on a cold, rainy, drizzly night that you're miserable? How are you going to react that same way as, 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a nice, sunny, warm day? All of those pieces we want you to look at and we want you to think about, so that when that moment strikes, and the emergency care side has to be a big factor, and what we can do on the field is improving and increasing, which means more equipment, more time, more effort, and more training needs to be, given to those skills. And that's where we'd like to see people getting, continuing to get the training, both in conferences and state meetings and district meetings, national meetings, all of those environments, but also hands on. We can't lecture on this as much as we need to practice and play on it. So hopefully we'll see that continue to evolve as well.
And what about you, Daryl?
I would concur with all that. I think as the athletic trainer's scope continues to grow and continues to enhance and the athletic trainer's skill set, I think that just goes right along with emergency care. 10 years ago, athletic trainers weren't familiar with supraglottic airways. They weren't really using them. Now that's a regular part of the athletic trainer's skill set, to the point, we have eye gels in every single one of our bags, and our athletic trainers are pretty proficient in utilizing them. Is it the supraglottic airway? Is it Lucas devices? Is it portable ultrasound? How can we as athletic trainers continue to grow and enhance our skill set for the area that we're in? It's a big difference when you're, on a football field of, do you need a portable ultrasound at that point? But we have athletic trainers working in extreme sports and a bunch of different areas where, maybe the diagnostic ultrasound, the portable ultrasound would be something that they add to their toolkit. So that's where I'd say I see it continuing to develop and enhance.
Now, I'll be honest, I took it to my board, geez, about 10 years ago and hit them 3 or 4 times. Kept asking for that Fujifilm ultrasound. At the laptop version, it was about 40,000. It was the one that the Rams used. And I kept going back to it, going back to it. First year, they laughed. Second year, they went, huh, made it through the first round. And then they went, no. Third year, almost made it to the end. And they went, Eli, if this was a little cheaper, maybe. And then they came out with the portable iViz, which they were using for the military. And I went, well, this is a third of the price. Let's give this a try. Somebody listened and went, yeah, we'll let that happen. And it's come in handy quite a few times in different sports. Whether it's a football game, a basketball game, we're able to pull it out and have our team physician look and go, I mean, we look and go, but then he looks and goes, yeah, let's get him going. Or no, he's fine. So it's been a blessing to have it on the sideline. Fortunately, it hasn't been used in anything catastrophic yet. Mostly MSK stuff, musculoskeletal, fractures, tears, stuff like that. But we rolled out Attention Nemo once, which is awesome. Kid was just freaking out. So like that, just want him freaking out. Equipment, big way to go. Big way to go. So we're a few years in to SMEM. You guys have been training all over the nation. What keeps you going and doing these trainings?
That's easy. The day we get a note back from one of our participants that said this happened and this went well. And we've had a cardiac arrest in a team meeting room 2 days after one of our trainings. We've had an allergic reaction in a cafeteria a week after our training. And then, just about 2 months ago, we got a group text message, and he said, "You guys saved somebody last night." A middle school basketball player go into cardiac arrest. Obviously, none of us are thinking or prepared for that. He did about 4 rounds of CPR, and his first shock. Did another hole. I think he shocked twice, and by the time EMS arrived, the athlete was alert, oriented with a heartbeat, and going on to the hospital. And that was just that. That to me is worth every late night flight, every early morning, every cold day in Florida when it's snowing. And yes, we've done that twice.
Just yesterday, it was snowing in Florida. Yeah.
Yeah. Then we were down there this weekend. It snowed in Destin,
Oh,
Florida.
geez.
But that is that moment that, it makes it all worthwhile when we know that, we may not have done it, but they're more comfortable. They're more confident. They felt better. They reached out to us and said, what you guys did made that work. And that makes all of this so worthwhile.
So awesome. What about you, Daryl?
The people that you come in contact with, the just the interactions throughout the day. I mean, I learn just as much as they learn. I learn how they do things different ways, different things that I've come back and it's like, oh, I got to add that to my EAP. Oh, I didn't think about that. Just the people, the EMS that we interact with. I think, special for me is when we get the EMS there that are, I didn't realize that athletic trainers knew all that, or I didn't realize that athletic trainers could do that. And then the relationships that are built because the athletic trainers trained with EMS on that day, and the continued relationships that are built for later on in the year, I think is, what drives me is continuing to build relationships and really getting people to think about things, and the number of people that will enhance their equipment or enhance their emergency action plan from something that we've done at training, I think is what's special, because at some level it is saving lives, whether or not it's today or whether or not it's 25 years from now. Somebody's going to remember the training and rehearsal and change something that will save a life.
Taking care of others. That's well said. Well said. Don't want to take too much of your time because, well, this ain't the first time we've recorded this. So thanks to technology, we're doing it a second time. Thank you, tech. But would love to get your just last thoughts. If you go back and look at Ed, 25, 30 years ago, what's a little pearl of wisdom you would give young Ed about the profession?
My two biggest pearls would probably be, is never stop learning. Always challenge yourself, always think, always try to get better. Identify by self-reflection where you're not strong, and find how to make that better. And that's everything from manual therapy to rehab to emergency care. So always challenge yourself to learn and stay proficient and stay engaged. The second piece is don't get complacent. They sort of go together, but all too often we let the day, the week, the month wear on us, and we're tired, we're run down, we think we have to be everywhere all the time, and now we can't be as good and as effective as we need to be because we've gotten complacent and we've let everything else kind of take over in our day, in our life. So really be cautious of that, because we don't know when that moment's going to strike. We don't know when is all of this going to come together, and when are we going to be the last person between our athlete and the grave. And when we're ready for that, when we're prepared for today being that day, I think we're much more attuned to it. And the complacency as we just get run down and tired can crawl into our mindset, and puts us behind the eight ball. So those would be my two biggest things for people.
And what about you, Daryl?
I would say continue to build relationships, and really look outside the box, think outside the box. Who is that relationship that I need to build? And whether or not it's going to help me today, it may help me down the line. And again, think outside the box, think interdisciplinary. Where can I go? Who can I learn from to help build that relationship? I like to talk about the school bus and get the right people on the bus, but more importantly, get them in the right seats. And your team physician has a place on the bus in every single emergency, but your team physician may not be driving the bus when it comes to equipment removal or airway. They may have to go back to the third row at that point because there's somebody there that's more qualified and does it more, that should be driving the bus during that time. And then your team physician can move. But get the right people on the bus and get them in the right seats, and understand that that's a big bus, and there are a lot of people that should be on that bus in an emergency, including your custodian, including your principal, your athletic director, your director of ops, your coaches, and don't forget about the emergency just isn't on the 50-yard line. If you watch the Damar Hamlin video, there were 200 to 400 people on the field that day that were patients that were all in shock. Who's managing those other patients? Who's on your pit crew that's gonna take care of them from there? So that's for me is what I've learned. And if I could go back, I would build better relationships and understand the importance of building those relationships outside of athletic training from the start.
Love it. Think outside the box. I can answer who was taking care of those 200 people on the Buffalo side. Dr. Des. She is phenomenal as the director of mental wellness, if I remember her title correctly. We had her on the show and just a world of knowledge. She was awesome. You bring that up. I couldn't imagine one of my athletes down like that. You got to be prepared for anything. You really do. Great comment. Great comment. Well, gentlemen, I appreciate you guys doing this. You're a wealth of knowledge, and we would love to have you back for another episode, but this time we made sure it posts. And for anybody interested in looking at their information, it's www.smematc.net or .com. It'll get you there too. So take a look at the program. They have some sample program, future events, references, discussion board. I mean, yeah, I'm going to see what we can figure out and get you guys out in California in the middle of winter next year. So that way you can enjoy the cold, cold 65-degree temperatures out here.
I'll take 65 any day of the week this time of year.
I bet you would.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It probably looks more like what you have in your background, all snow right now, correct?
Yep, we're cold and windy up here, that's for sure.
Oh man, I'm sorry. Yeah, that's one reason I won't leave California. It's nice. I can't argue with the weather. So
Yeah.
people freak out when it rains, but you know what? It's just rain. So, well, gentlemen, thank you very much for being on our podcast today. We appreciate you being on Wrap It Up Sports Medicine and More. We appreciate you educating so many people about what you do and how we can become better athletic trainers. Keep up the good work, and I hope to have you out here next year.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
Have a great day. Talk to you guys later.
Take care.
Thank
You
you.
too.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Want to make sure you hear every episode? Remember to like, follow, and subscribe to our podcast. Don't forget to share our podcast with your colleagues, family, and friends. Your support will help more people find and enjoy our content. Wrap It Up Sports Medicine and More is directed by Eli Halleck. It is produced by Gabriel Halleck. Our theme music is by Coma Studios via Pixabay. The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are solely those of the contributors. Want to know more about us? Visit us at wrapituppodcast.com. That's with one P, wrapituppodcast.com. Wrap It Up Sports Medicine and More is a production of Halleck Consulting, LLC.